Hey y'all, it's Ryan. I think we need to talk a little bit about Google Sheets. It's Google's version of Microsoft Excel and is used mainly to create spreadsheets. But I think this wildly underutilized tool can do so much more. So today, we're going to look at 3 different ways you can utilize Google Sheets. In this video, we're going to focus on using the conditional formatting tool found within Sheets. I'll link 2 of the documents that I've already created in the description box below if you decide you'd rather buy them instead of build them. First, let's start with what is conditional formatting. Basically, it's a function within Sheets that allows you to change a cell's text style and background color based on rules set by you. So you can set it up so that when you enter a specific name, date, text, or answer, the cell's background color changes. So you might have just had that light bulb moment of creating self-checking forms for your students to use, which is exactly where we're going to get started, so let's get to it. The first thing that we need to do is open up a blank spreadsheet to start creating. So there are a few different ways that you can do this. The first one is going into your Drive, clicking on New, Google Sheets, and Blank Spreadsheet. The second way is to come up to your Google Apps waffle and click on it, and then scroll down until you find Google Sheets. My favorite way by far is to open up a new tab and type in sheets.new, and it takes me directly into a blank spreadsheet. This is my favorite because it is the fastest route that I have to get to a blank spreadsheet. So now that we have a blank spreadsheet open, the first thing I'm going to do is rename it. So I'm going to have this just be my self-checking form for my students. When creating these self-checking forms, you can use them for any subject across any level, as long as you have the question and a specific answer that you're looking for your students to give. You can utilize conditional formatting in Sheets to create it. So, for example, I am going to make an elementary math addition self-checking form. So in the column A, I'm going to add math problems for my students to solve. So now that I have the problems that I want my students to solve, I need to set up column B so that whenever they put the correct answer in the cell, it changes to green. And if they put the incorrect answer in, it'll change to red. So I'm going to highlight cell B1, come up to Format, click Conditional Formatting, and then I want to have the format rules change to text is exactly, and then I'm going to add the answer of 10. I want it to change to a light color green to let them know that they did in fact get the answer correct, and click Done. I'm going to add a second rule to this same cell so that it lets them know if it's incorrect now. So I still have cell B1 highlighted. I'm going to click Add Another Rule, and I want it to, if it is not empty, I want it to change to red. So if they put a number in here, so if I put 3, it's going to be red because the cell is not empty, but that's also the incorrect answer. So if I put the correct answer in, it's green. It lets me know that my answer is correct. I can move on to the next one. So I'm going to go through the same steps on the rest of the cells to set up my conditional formatting rules so that I am creating that self-checking form for my students. Now, before I share this form, this sheet with my students to work through, I want to guarantee that they cannot come in here accidentally or on purpose and delete or edit any of the questions that I have in this sheet. So to do that, I'm going to protect this range. So I'm going to click on the cells that I want to protect, which is A1 through A5. And then I'm going to right click on my mouse, scroll all the way down to find View More Cell Actions, and then click Protect Range. This will allow me to set permissions on this range of cells. So these are my questions. I'm going to click Set Permissions. I'm going to have it restricted so that only I am able to edit these cells. Click done. Now, once I share this link and this sheet with my students to go through these questions in the activity, they can't come into any of my questions in my column A and change the numbers. They can't delete the problems. They can only add their answers into column B. So there's one way that we can utilize Google Sheets that isn't a spreadsheet for our students. The next way we're going to use it is actually for ourselves as a teacher. I love a good checklist, but I'm going to take it to the next level by using conditional formatting because I am an extremely visual person. So here I have my beginning of the year and end of the year checklists. I like to use this on my phone as I'm going throughout the school, setting everything up that I need for the year. And then again, at the end of the year, whenever I'm taking everything down, I want to make sure that I have everything done. So I have both beginning of the year and end of the year checklists on one sheet so I can easily keep track of where I am. I don't have to open multiple sheets. It's all in one on 2 different tabs. So here I have everything set up. I have all of my checkboxes in place. Now I have it set over here so that when I click on the checkbox to mark it done, it actually changes that cell color to a really pretty teal. If you would want to flip that so it changes the cell white, I also have that over on this side. I'm going to show you how to do both. So let's start with how to change the cell color from white to a color whenever that checkbox is made. So I'm going to highlight all of my checkboxes, come up to Format, and click Conditional Formatting. Now I have this rule already set, so I'm going to click in it to show you how I set it up. So again, I have the range A4 to A20 highlighted. My format for this is going to be text is exactly, and make sure you type true. Here's why. Whenever you put the check in it, that is signaling the true, as in there is something in that box. So it's true, so my text box is going to change to a color. And then just like I did on my self-checking form, I need to change the fill color from white to whatever color I want. I really like this blue, and then I click done. So now when I come in and I put checks in those boxes, it changes the color. Now on the flip side of that, if I want to take the color off so I can clearly see what I have left, then I'm going to do the opposite. So again, I'm just going to highlight these cells, A4 to A20, go into Format, Conditional Formatting, and then set my rule. Now for this one, I'm using the same format rule of text is exactly. However, this time I am changing it to false and then selecting my fill color for that green and then clicking done. So that when it reads that there is a check mark in that box, it takes the color away because it is no longer true that it's empty, that there's nothing in that checkbox. So the last idea that I'm going to share with y'all for using Google Sheets in your classroom is taking that self-checking form up a notch and turning it into a game, such as a digital breakout game or an escape room. So here I have this crazy coder game where my students and we were trapped inside a game by this crazy coder, and we had different levels that we had to move through in order to get codes to break out of the game. So how I set this up is I actually added images of these questions into the cells, and then I set up my conditional formatting in my answers column in column B and E. So whenever my students come in here and enter an answer, if they get it incorrect, just like we did with the self-checking form, it turns red. And if they get it correct, it turns green, but then it also spits out this code of 10. And then my students would go through and continue getting the codes as they're answering the questions correctly. Now, this is using conditional formatting to set up the answers so that my students know when they get the answer correct, but it also uses formulas, specifically the if formula found in Google Sheets. So this is the formula that I've used so that when they get the answer correct on this sheet on level 1, it will populate or give them this code. Just like with the self-checking form, I have protected the range or the cells where my question cards are so that my students can't go in here and accidentally delete the images or the questions that they're being asked to answer. Another thing that I did on this game, I actually protected all of the cells here on this conditional formatting page because I don't want them to come into this page if they find it, because I'm going to hide it. But if they find it, I don't want them to come into this page and mess with the formulas that actually control my answers and then the populating of the code they need to break out. So here's what I did. 1, I've protected it, so they shouldn't be able to edit it. But 2, because I don't want my students to see this page, this sheet, and come in here because it actually tells them the answer. If they come in and click on my cells, it shows them that B16 equals C, and then the code is 01. So I'm going to come over to the sheet, I'm going to right click on it, and then I'm going to click hide. So when my students get this sheet to go through and work through the game, they won't see that conditional formatting page down at the bottom, so they can't actually go in and find the answers. This also helped lead me to that conversation with my students of, we're playing a game to review, to have a little bit of fun with the information instead of sitting down and going through hand by hand, like writing everything out. So it kind of became the phrase in my classroom of play the game. Don't cheat the game. Don't try and break the game, but play the game. Play the game, have fun with your classmates, and learn at the same time. So there we have it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope you learned a few ways to use Google Sheets other than a spreadsheet in your classroom, and maybe you have some ideas floating around in your head. If you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel and click on the bell so that you're notified whenever a new video is posted. Hope to see you soon.